Okay, so आज के डिस्कशन है सॉरी वी विल डिस्कस ऑन mystery of creation है ना how this universe has been created. So this is basically whole is been described in Canto 2 and Canto 3 of Srimad Bhagavatam, but mostly are there in Canto 2. So what happened? Parikshit Maharaj actually asked some questions to Sukdev Goswami about about the creation thing, how Krishna has created all this metal cosmos, and then to narrate the story how Krishna has done all these things by his energy, he he quoted another conversation. That conversation happened between Narad Muni and Brahmaji. So Brahmaji, Narad Muni asked the same question to Brahmaji, like to Lord Brahma, how did this all this happen? And he said that now it looks like everything has been done by you only. But humbly, Lord Brahma says that no, nothing has been done by me. I did just second creation. The first creation of this whole cosmos has been done by Lord Krishna himself. And then he started describing how it had happened. So we'll try to understand those today. I have made some slides, and basically we will see that what is actually real mystery of creation. And but the science sometimes says, okay, it's a Big Bang theory and this and that. But actual thing is being provided in our scriptures along back ahead. Right. So let's see what happens here. So at the very beginning, right? At the very beginning, there was only Lord Krishna. Right. At the very beginning, so first being alone. And then what he did, he expanded himself to another form called as Balarama. So the there is no difference between Krishna and Balram. They are all his expansion. But there are two bodies now. So two personalities you can see. Krishna and Balram, they are playing, you have seen in how Krishna and Balram both played in Vrindavan, all the Leelas was he doing. Even in Lord Rama's, he came as Lakshman, and even the Sheshanagi is also an incarnation of Lord Balram. So the first expansion of Lord Krishna is Balram, right? So from there, the first expansion of Balram, actually Lord Balram expanded into four forms. Those are called as Pradyumna, Sankarshan, Aniruddha, and Vasudev. So these are the four expansion, or these are called as Chaturvyu expansion, four-sided expansion. I forgot to put the picture of these things, but yeah. So this called as quadruple expansion as well, or Chaturvyu, right? Who are those? Pradyumna, Sankarshan, Aniruddha, and Vasudev, right? After that, what happened? From the first Sankarshan, what we see here, that Sankarshan expanded himself again into form of Narayan. So this all is what is given in our Srimad Bhagavatam. So he expanded into Sankarshan into Narayana, and then this Narayana expand himself into second quadruple, or we call as second Chaturvyu. That is what? Again, Pradyumna, Sankarshan, Aniruddha, and Vasudev. So this is all happening within spiritual world, right? So from Lord Krishna, he expanded himself as Lord Balram. From Balram, the four Chaturvi expansion or quadruple expansion, Pradyumna, Sankarshan, Anirudh, and Vasudev. And from the first Sankarshan, Narayan expands. And from Narayana, again this Chaturvyu or quadruple expansion happened. Pradyumna, Vasudev, Pradyumna, Sankarshan, Anirudh. Right. These are the things. And after the second Sankarshan, from the second Sankarshan, expansion comes as Mahavishnu. So we'll go elaborate more on from here onwards. So because from Mahavishnu, the process of material creation starts, right? How this material cosmos has been created, it starts from Mahavishnu's onward, right? Let's see. And that Vishnu is called as Karnodakashayi Vishnu, right? So this Vishnu is also called as Mahavishnu and also called as Karnodakashayi Vishnu. He lies on the casual ocean, right? So the Lord, this Mahavishnu, he lies on the casual ocean, or this is called as, actually also called as Karna Srishti. So now creation is actually taking place now. This is the beginning of creation. Nothing is there yet. We cannot, there is no earth, there is no water, there is no air, nothing is there. The first expansion of Sankarshan, second Sankarshan's first expansion is called as Karnodakashayi Vishnu. And these are called as Purusha Avatar. So these are three Purusha Avatar. First Purusha Avatar is Mahavishnu or Karnodakashayi Vishnu. Right. And let's see what's happened next. What happens? So this Vishnu, he lies on Karna ocean, or sometimes called as casual ocean. Millions of universes of various sizes. Some maybe XY sizes or different sizes. They come out, and they all have different properties as well. So right, millions of universes come out from the bodily porous of Mahavishnu. When when he exhale, when he exhales, we see that creation of these universes happens, and when he inhales, all the destruction happens. Right. So this is called as Karnodakashayi Vishnu or Mahavishnu, where from his inhale we see the material universe, the universe being created, and it comes in millions and millions. We cannot count anything. It's uncountable, unlimited universes created. So right. So what happens after that? By his potencies, the time, the fate of the living entity, and their particular nature, the kala, karma, and swabhava, these get manifested. Right. So from Mahavishnu, these things get manifested. It's basically like, let's suppose, I'll give an example to understand it. Let's suppose you want to make some vegetable, right, curry at your home. So what you do? In the very first time, nothing is there in your kitchen. You just go to shop and market, and you get your, maybe oil, maybe, the ingredients, the vegetables, or whatever you want to cook. You get all these things one by one. And then similarly, by the nature of each living entity and the time, so we see that the time is not there in a spiritual world. That kala or time, it actually starts in this material world. And because he's starting to give the living entities, because of the nature of the living entities or the fate of the living entities, and they have their different nature depending upon how they will be uh, going over there. And then what happened next? This Mahavishnu glances, and when he glances into the universe has formed, and by the glance of that, he impregnates the jiva into material nature. So now he is going to impregnate this, and in Canto 3, it's been described that the impregnate potency is Lord Shiva, right? So Lord Shiva injects the living entity in this material world. Lord Shiva impregnates actually Mother Durga, or that's basically the Mother Nature, into this material world. And thus he creates all this ingredient, and that ingredient are called as Mahatattva. And we'll see what Mahatattva is going. I will describe it again, Mahatattva in a completely way in our couple of more slides. And that Mahatattva, as of now, is actually before impregnate, it actually or are inactive. And once it impregnate the maternal nature, they starts getting activated. And very first, the mode of goodness get activated, and then passion, and then ignorance. So these three are getting activated when Mahavishnu impregnates to material nature through his glands, and the glands potency is Lord Shiva. Right. So see, so from this three thing we see as a mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. From the mode of ignorance or from the darkness of false ego, the first of the five elements is generated, or that the sky, and gradually it goes on increasing and increasing. That is what the first sound is created, and then from sound ether comes, and from then the touch, then the air comes, and then form, and then fire, and then the taste, and the water, and smell, and then the earth. So gradually, one by one. So basically, initially the sound was there, and then I might have the screen. I'll show you over there to understand it. So when he created a touch, it had the previous one as well. The sound is there, touch is there, ether is there, earth is there. So when the form is created, sound is there, touch is there, form is there. And when taste is created, sound is there, touch is there, form is there, taste is there. And at the end, when smell is created, sound, touch, form, taste, and smell, all things are there. And by now, these 10 elements or 10 elements has been created. These are just 10. We have some more things, all the as an ingredient or of Mahatattva for whole cosmos, right? So it might be a bit technical, but this is how creation is happening over there. Then what happened? From the mode of passion, the further transmission goes on, and then transforms what? The sense organs comes from there. The sense organs with the living energy. Living energy is basically what? The prana or the conscious. These are generated, and the senses are like the knowledge acquiring senses and the working senses: ear, skin, nose, eyes, tongue, mouth, hands, genital, legs, outlet for evacuating. This get generated from the mode of passion, because we need to work, so passion is there from that comes up. And then from the mode of goodness, the mind is generated, and it becomes manifested as well, also with the controlling demigods. Basically, they're controlling the bodily movements, such as demigods known as the controller of directions, the controller of air, the sun god, the father of Jaksha Prajapati, the Ashwini Kumaras, the fire god, the king of heaven, the worshipable deities in heaven, the chief of Adityas, the and Brahmaji and Prajapati all come into existence. So all the sages, they come into existence after this. But as of now, not every, it's basically, I give an example of creating, making cooking curry or vegetable. So you are actually gathering every ingredients in your kitchen now. Nothing has been created yet. It's you are just bringing one thing. Okay, I need some coriander. I need some vegetables. I need some oil. I need some spices. This everything is you are collecting now. Nothing has been created yet. This is basically starting of your cooking of vegetable. So now all these things get amalgamated, right?
So, what were the ingredients for false ego?
So the in we see about that, no, from false ego, that the whole thing, the sound, ether, form, touch, this all comes up from there, from passion.
No, from false ego. For false ego, what were the ingredients? This for
Nothing.
goodness.
Yeah, from there are three things, right? Mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. From mode of okay, let me go to the slide for
Yeah.
that. No, see, this is from the false ego. This all things, 10 things: sound, touch, form, taste, smell,
Okay, okay.
fire, water, and earth. This starts coming one by one, right? Got a call?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So these are the first things. So Teresa is studying now. So from initially these things comes in the picture, like air, ether, fire, water, earth. That comes in the picture, and then the sense organs created together with the living entities energy, that is basically the prana, and that senses are called as 10 senses: knowledge acquiring senses and working senses. So ear, skin, nose, eyes, and tongue, and then the mouth or knowledge, sorry, working senses are mouth, hands, or genitals, legs, and outlet for evacuation. And in the mode of goodness, we see the mind becomes manifested, and with the sages, or who are the controller of all the directions, and the controller of the air, the sun god, the prajapatis, the brahmaji, all these have been come into existence. As I told, these are not yet complete for creation of the body. These are all the ingredients. So what happened after this? Mahavishnu, or Karnadaksha Vishnu, expands further. He expands further, and that is called as second expansion takes place, or second expansion, or we can so call as second Purusha avatar. So the three Purusha avatar is basically are responsible for the creation and maintenance and annihilation of this cosmos. And the first one is Karnadakashai Vishnu, who lies on casual ocean. Now comes Garbhodakashai Vishnu. So Garbhodakashai Vishnu means basically what? Who has Garbha. So this is before going to the second incarnation. I'll see. So if you can see in the middle, that's called as Brahma Jyoti, right? So from uh, upper part of the Brahma Jyoti is all spiritual world, right? And from here, from you can see the Karna ocean or Karna casual ocean. From there is all the material universe starts, right? And this is called as 1/4 of spiritual planet. Just imagine the n number of millions of universes. Those reside, those have a boundary, and they reside inside a boundary. And that boundary, just imagine, like let's take an example. Let's suppose you uh, created a big circle, and inside that big circle, you spotted so many small circles, right? And that big circles is actually just 1/4 of the spiritual planet, and 3/4 is actually left behind or in the spiritual world. So whatever we see, millions of universes are actually just 1/4 of spiritual world. So here you can see the picture, right? The Vishnu is lying there, and you can see the small, universes around it, right? That's coming when he exhale this from his body. These universes comes into existence, and as they comes into existence, in that universe, all the Mahatattva, what we've seen about all the elements, they come into picture over there. Now the second incarnation or second expansion, that we call as Garbhodakashai Vishnu, he lies again. So here, in each and every universal globe, what you have seen, this Vishnu, Garbhodakashai Vishnu, enters there, right? He enters there and lies there as a as a serpent. We have seen this picture, right? Like Mother Lakshmi is actually massaging his lotus feet, and he's lying on a Sheshanag or serpent with the great hoods of Sheshanag. And from his navel, we see a lotus stem sprouts. And in that lotus, the stem of the lotus, the whole 14 planet system come into existence. That's being created by Brahma later on. So this is how we see from this second Purusha avatar, Garvodakasai Vishnu, the stem came out from the navel of Garvodakasai Vishnu, and Lord Brahma, the first living entity, the first living person, takes birth. And it's being described in more detail that Brahma, he got bewildered. He didn't know from where to go and what to do. So he started meditating. He just heard some word called tapa, and then he started meditating on. After meditating a long years, then Vishnu, Gaudakasai Vishnu, Shodakasai Vishnu, he comes into his heart and gives the knowledge to create all these things. So like that says the Brahma then creates the all form of living beings of different spaces, shapes in terms of different desires within the universe. He creates the sun, the moon, and other all demigods. So this is the first living being, and the creation starts from there next. He says, this Lord or Garbhodakasha Vishnu is lies on the universal ocean. As we have seen that Karodakasha Vishnu or Mahavishnu, he has actually assembled all the ingredient for the creation. And now Garbhodakasha Vishnu, he takes all these elements or ingredients, and by the energy, it happens by the energy called as Maya Shakti. That is again energy of Vishnu. And he lies in this ocean, in the universal ocean, for 1,000 years. Right? He lies there for 1,000 years, and after that he enters universe and make them fully active. And then he gives the third expansion or third Purusha avatar comes here. Right? So he expands into third Purusha avatar, and that Purusha we call as also called as Virata Rupa, or universal form, where we see thousands of legs, thousands of arms, thousands of mouth, and everything. So whole the Bhagavatam explains that each limbs of Krishna or Vishnu is been described as different planets, different active parts as well. So all are connected, like the okay, this being said, okay, the his head is Brahma Loka, his leg is Narkoloka, and all lokas he comes in his complete body. So that is how we see this. So this is what we are seeing is just one universe, right? The similar process happens for every universe. So what we have seen is first Kanodakasha Vishnu, he expands himself. From him, we see universes comes up, so many universes, millions of universes, and then he expands himself as a second form called as Garvodakasha Vishnu. And we are just saying about one universe, right? Here, Garvodakasha Vishnu enters, and the same process happens in every universe. If you see the layers, I'm not sure if it can visible to you, but if you can see the layers, that's called the first layer is false ego, and then after that it's intelligence, and then it's the mind, then the ether, and then the air, the fire, and the water, and the earth comes up. Can you see it? It is visible. Maybe I think if you can zoom it, you can see it as well.
यस प्रभु जी, थोड़ा जूम करेंगे तो दिखाई देगा.
Okay, let me try to zoom it from here. I don't think it says. You can zoom in your own phone. Actually, you can try.
Okay, I'll
It's,
try that.
it's a PPT. I can't zoom, but I think I can. You can zoom it and see it. Yeah, you can zoom it.
Yeah. This is really wonderful information. I heard about it in some of the conversation in some slokas, but I have never seen the representation or pictorial representation like this before. It's really good to
That's
see this.
that's what I'm saying. Srimad Bhagavatam, it's already says, if you want to understand about Puranas,
Yeah.
Bhagavatam is to want to be understood or read.
Okay. Okay.
So
Good.
see, if you can see, have you zoomed it?
Yeah. I can see
I
now.
zoomed it, I can see it. It being said that each covering is 10 times diameter of the previous covering.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
just imagine it, how it's going to be bigger, bigger and bigger and bigger. So first, as we discussed about the creation, the first is false ego, and then the intelligence, the mind. Even the same thing Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Bhumir apo analo vayo kham mano buddhir evacha. These are my 8 internal potencies, right? Ahankara ityame bhinna prakritir ashtadha.
Ether means exactly what, sir? Ether means exactly what?
Is actually sky,
Okay.
right? So the slokas goes like Bhumir apo analo vayu kham mano buddhir evacha ahankar ityame bhinna prakriti ashtadha. So these are the 8 different elements of this material world, and we can see by this and one from this. So in the mind, if you see in the ether God's ego, intelligence and mind. In air it consists of all the 4, but in earth everything is consist of there, right? And if you can see the picture of Lord Shiva here as well, isn't it? If you zoom it nearby, you can see the Lord Shiva picture as well. So this Shiva, Lord Shiva also, he's actually expand himself. So Lord Vishnu has the potential to expand himself. The same is for Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is basically very, very nearly equal to Lord Vishnu. So he has a capability to expand himself as well. So as we see that, Garbhadakashai Vishnu enters into each planet, so Lord Shiva enters there as well to destroy it. At the end, he serves Krishna or Vishnu to destroy this manifestation. And we see here, if you come bit in the middle of the picture and zoom it, you can see that these are the planets or that are in the stem of lotus flower or lotus stem. In the lotus stems, we see all these planets. So we are actually in the middle, called as Bhurloka or Earth planet, Bhurloka. And we see we are Loka. And if you go higher, these are called as Lokas or good thing. And when you, or an upgrade thing, or when you go downwards, these are said as Tala, or Tala means downgrade things. So 14 planet system, how it goes, the lower planet are called as gross. Those are, Atala, Bitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, and Patal. We know that there is only one kind of, Patal, but actually these are the description of all the hellish planets. Atal. So as we go down, the sinful activities of us is expand, then we go more down and down. So Atal, Bital, Sutal is basically, if we degrade ourselves, we go accordingly to the lower planet. So Atal, Bital, Sutal, Talatal, Mahatal, Rasatal, and Patal. And in a similar way, when we go upward from our, if you like, if we do very pious activities in this Bhurloka, then we go to Bhuvarloka, and then it goes to Swargaloka, then Maharloka, then Jannaloka, then Tapaloka, and then Shatyaloka, basically the Lord's Brahma's abode. Right. That is how it goes higher and higher and higher. So this being described here, that the lower planet is basically is gross, and the middle planet here is basically subtle as well as gross, and the higher planet is completely subtle. And if you see here that Lord, uh, Durga Devi, she is the potency of Krishna as well, and she take cares of this whole cosmos. right? So this is the description of one. But what happened after creating all this? Because after creating everything, nothing works. It's all like, okay, looks like, we have forgot to put some salt and spices in our vegetable. It's not, it's nothing. It's like, there is no taste in it. So after creating everything, Lord Brahma says again, I have created everything, but nothing is moving. It's all remained as it is. Then what happened? Then,
So what was on right side? Material pleasure and that. What was that line
sorry, where?
in the previous slide? Yeah, on the right side there is a vertical line. Material pleasure and shadow of, what was that? You see right side, there is a vertical line, material pleasure in the bracket.
Yeah, this is how basically we enjoy, we think the things. This is the shadow of Haladini Shakti. Durga Devi is called as Haladini Shakti. So, and this is also called as Maya Devi, and we are actually engrossed in this material pleasure. We think that everything is, all this in this world is just enjoyment. Nothing is higher there. That is what it is.
Okay. Okay. And what was the top portion? Shadow of Haidini Shakti. So
Sorry.
this material pleasure, that line itself goes to vertical. It
Yeah,
shows
it got.
Durga Devi.
So I think if you see, I think I have to go back a bit more. So in this slide, you can see the line. Can you see the line?
Yeah.
So I don't have the picture of the previous one in this slide, unfortunately. So this basically it's being said. If you see that here, it's an expansion of another expansion of Krishna as in Radharani, and from Radharani, then Lakshmi, and then all this expansion from Mahalakshmi. So all this we see that expansion goes in a female liner. That's what I'm said here. So from here, from Mahalakshmi, this come Parvati, and then the next slide where we see or Mother Durga, right? And see, so Durga Devi is basically responsible for keeping us in this material world. It's clear.
Yes.
Okay, so we were here, right? So now, after everything is created, uh, okay, yes. So after everything is created, nothing is moving, right? So nothing is moving. It's all remain as it is. Then the third Purusha is called, that is called as Shirodakashai Vishnu. He actually lies on the ocean of milk. Shirodakashai Vishnu. And this Shirodakashai Vishnu, so Garva, the first expansion, first Maha Vishnu, then Garva Vishnu, and then Shirodakashai Vishnu. So this Garva Dakashai Vishnu enters as a matter in as Shirodakashai Vishnu. He enters to all the matters, living, non-living, everything, and he gives the consciousness to the things. Earlier, like it's like a machine is there, car is there, but nothing is working unless some driver goes inside and put on the key and start running it. So it's all, Brahmaji told, I have created everything, but nothing is moving. Then Krishna says, okay, let me expand again. And the third expansion comes, is called as Shirodakashaya Vishnu, where he imparts knowledge within the heart of Lord Brahma. And the Lord Brahma creates everything. Women, we have seen the description earlier. Women, the sages, the animals, the plants, the demigods, the planets, and everything is been created by Krishna, Brahma. That is why second creation is done by Brahma. Is basically like, understand it like, okay, you go and shop the vegetable things, spices, salt, and vegetable, or whatever you need, oil, salt, everything. And now here comes your wife and cooks for you the vegetable. So the first creation is done by Vishnu, and the second creation, that's basically after the knowledge given by Vishnu to Brahma, he started creating all the humans, sages, animals, plants, demigods, and everything. So then Shodakasai Vishnu enters and to every living entity as a Paramatma. So what we see is that within our own self there are two things. One is our we self, the body, what we see. In the body there lives two things. What are those? One is soul, and second is super soul. Without super soul, nothing is happens. So that is, we give the chetana, or we call as consciousness, that comes up. And the super soul concept is only in this material world. It doesn't exist in spiritual world, because spiritual world is, it's everything. Maybe we'll discuss again on the spiritual world sometimes later. So that being said, like from Lord Brahma's head, Lord Shiva appears, and who expands as a Sadashiv, and that the role of him is basically to destroy or destruction of these things, right? So is that clear as of now? I know for the first time it might not be clear, but just to get an information that these are the three Purusha avatars, right? By the three Purusha avatar, we can see that how the creation happens. So there is no, like, it's not like that, okay, the material cosmos has been made by its own, or made from a matter or something like that. It actually happened through this process, or through the will of Krishna, right? And even Bhagavatam explains very well in Canto 2 and Canto 3. So these are the things called as Mahatattva we have gone through earlier. So in compromise, these are the 23 elements of the Mahatattva. These are called as the 5 gross material: earth, water, fire, air, ether. And then the 5 sense objects: the fragrance, the form, touch, and the sound, what we seen earlier. And then we have 5 knowledge acquiring. So the first two, earth, water, fire, air, ether, fragrance, taste, form, touch, sound, they come from ignorance, like false ignorance, false ego. And then the 5 acquiring senses and 5 working senses, basically nose, tongue, eyes, skin, ears, arms, legs, voice, rectum, and genital. It came from mode of passion. The mode of passion transformed into these things. And then from mode of goodness, we see the mind, intelligence, and false ego comes up. So these are the 23 elements of Mahatattva. And the 24th element is what? The soul. And 25th element is the super soul. As we see, when Karnataka Vishnu created all these things, it was all lying there, but nothing is working. And then it expands again, and then the universe created, Lord Brahma did everything, and then he enters again as third expansion, called as Sridhar Vishnu, who lies in the ocean milk, right? So these are the elements of Mahatattva, the 23 elements that actually happens. And what happened at destruction? The same reverse goes back, and everything goes back into the body of Mahavishnu, the first expansion of Sankarshan. There everything goes back into. And do you know how long it takes? It takes 311.040 trillion years. This one cycle, right? So universe got created, like millions of universe got created, and after that, thousands years, Garbhodakasha Vishnu lies there, and then the next expansion happens, creation happens, and all this actually takes, and then it goes back as well. Like the destruction happened, and it whole complete cycle takes around 311.040 trillion years. Imagine how long it is. And that is basically, this is one, you know, this is time takes taken by Lord Vishnu or the Mahavishnu to inhale and exhale. So one time of inhale, and when we start exhale and then inhaling, this much years passes away of our own. Right. And the same process, as we discussed, the same process actually goes for every universe that is created from the body porous of Mahavishnu. And let's see a bit more interesting thing now. That what I called you now, that is the 311.04 trillion years. This is basically uh, one life of Brahma. So, normally when we live, that is why sometimes we call Brahma as, he is Aja or Amar. Why? Because his lifespan is so much, so huge compared to us, that it looks like he is Aja or Amar. Right? That is basically 311 trillion years. And so that is the day of one day of Brahma, and the same goes for equal number of nights as well. And then it comes as Kalpa. Kalpa is called as a day of Brahma. Right. So one day of Brahma is called as Kalpa, and there it happens what? 404.32 billion years. That is basically Brahma actually created the Manvantaras, 14 Manvantaras, and that's again a more description over there. So the 14 Manvantaras, and we are right now on 8 Manvantar. Half day of Brahma has been completed as currently where we are. Right. And the same length of night as well of Brahmaji's. And the length of each Manvantar is called as, is 71 Dibya Yoga. One Dibya Yoga is basically, I think, we still have it. So one Dibya Yoga is one complete cycle of Shati Yoga, Treta Yoga, Dwapar Yoga, and Kali Yoga. And Kali Yoga's age is actually 4 lakhs 32,000 years, and double of it is the age of Dwapar age, that is basically 8 lakh 64,000 years, and triple of Kali Yuga is Treta Yuga, that is 296 million years, and sorry, 1.296 million years. Then the fourth time of Kali Yuga, this 1728 million years is Sati Yuga. So this whole 4 Yuga, Kali Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Treta Yuga, Sati Yuga, combinedly one is called as Dibya Yuga, and 71 Dibya Yuga is a one lifespan of one Manvantar. And the same way, one day of Brahma, that is called as one Kalpa, 14 Manvantar comes up. So this basically, that's why we see, it maybe looks like, how can you believe it? But I'll give a small example to make it understand very clearly it happens how. If, normally in India, if you see in mostly in rainy season, we see the flyers, they come. It happens mostly in Diwali area as well, in the time of Diwalis. So we see the lamp post in our, in front of our houses, so many flyers they come, and then in the morning we see all are died. In daytime, no one was there, no flyer were there, but at the night, at nearly by 8 or 9 or 10, we see so many flyers in the lamp post, and the morning all died. Let's suppose one of the flyer one day told to another one, you know, you know, there is something called as human, and they live for 80 years, and we just live for 6 hours, and is their one day is 4 times of our lifespan, and they live for 100 years, isn't it? Getting a point? So in a similar way, our life is basically 100 years, but compared to the life of Brahma is very, 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 very tiny. And they just live, the flyer, they just live for 4 to 6 hours, nothing more that. But we live for, comparatively, if you can see, we live for 4 times of their lives in one day, and then imagine 365 days and then 100 years. So comparatively, it looks very, very higher, a huge age for the people who are there. All right. So that is how we end today's session. And if you have any questions or anything, clarification or any suggestions, please let me know.
So, how initially uh, Krishna created? Because you said that initially Krishna was there. So, but how he himself got created?
So that's what I'm saying. He is the only one, he knows how he got created. So this is the first person he's created, and he, after he expand everyone's. So his college, there is, he is not born. So there is no, in Brahma Samhita says he is the cause of all causes. Right? He is not he is not born by anyone else. So he created himself, and then he expands this into many expansion. Like we see all the expansions, like this, now we see the three Purusha avatar, the Nila avatar, the Guna avatar, even the Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Vishnu, they are also called as Guna avatars. And that is how expansion goes on.